Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. And today I've actually been looking for a story, or I was going to do a story about how to do a MicroSaaS startup using Kotlin and KMP as the basis, because you get to do your backend and your iOS and Android mobile applications. And you can do web, but I would just stick with with straight JavaScript and TypeScript with JS Doc. It's pretty and web components. That's almost the same as Compose in a lot of ways, and how you build UIs. And yeah, so you get to use one language to build these things now, and it's a compiled language. It's a secure language. It's deployable on JVM devices, and one language and one UI, at least on the mobile side. So I was looking for I was gonna put together a presentation about how to do it, but I found this video just popped up on my feed, and I'm gonna fix it up here a sec. So the kind of business that I'm talking about is called a MicroSaaS, but but the other thing about the MicroSaaS is it's small number of people, and you cut corners. Now it's interesting to hear because I've done a MicroSaaS before they even know what any of this stuff. It wasn't even a name for it, but anyway, I've gone through this process once. It was a long time ago. I exited. I made enough money to take a bunch of time off and go do other things. Now I'm coming back and I'm going to do another one. That's what I want to do. This guy cut a lot of corners, which you do have to cut a lot of corners to do this kind of stuff. But it's interesting the corners he did cut and the results he got. And I did similar things. I didn't do all the things. It gave me some good ideas. But go give him a like and subscribe with it. Raw Startup. Fair use.
This guy bootstrapped a rapidly growing SaaS startup and exited for $15 million. We're going to interview him and dissect his success. I myself built Vivino, a very successful startup from 0 downloads to 65 million. By no means easy. But there are a few key points that rapidly growing startups share, and by the end of this video, you're going to know what they are. Point number 1, over-deliver to a small audience. So the first step of achieving startup success is to find a small audience and over-deliver to them.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing with the MicroSaaS is you're going to start with a very tiny audience, and that's why you having the technical skills to do all these different devices all the same time, all these different platforms all the same time, with the same code base, with the same language, cuts down a lot of the options and choices about what to do and where to go. Limits those things, so you can cut the corners there. But you also need a technical. You need a technical person, and you also need this business person that sees this opportunity and has enough technical mindsets and has this bootstrap attitude to do this. So you have to find it. It's very rare that a technical person knows about these opportunities, but there's a lot of people out there that they see these opportunities, but they don't know how to do the technical. They don't know how to do the technical stuff, and there's way more of those. So. But you got to be picky, right? You got to find the right one that's got kind of maybe done this before, worked at a software company before, knows what's involved, worked in sales, done marketing and sales, because that's a lot of this stuff is at the beginning. But it's interesting the choices they took. Okay, I want to shut up.
Microsoft or Salesforce on the number of features, but you can compete on having the right features for a small audience. Let's see how Bo was able to execute.
That's what he said. Right features, small audience.
We had a very specific focus, so it was pretty easy to build something that was valuable to that specific segment of customers pretty fast.
Have a product that's not overloaded with all kinds of features, but rather has the right features that are spot on for this small audience. This makes the product a lot more relevant for that small audience.
My friend knew someone who was a psychotherapist, and he just spoke with that person. It was pretty random, I think. Him and I discussed various niche areas we could focus on, but he knew this psychotherapist, and he started talking with her, and she told him that no one has really made a system specifically for psychotherapists.
This sounds a bit niche, I will say that.
Right, so it has to be. So we're talking. So he did the niche. This was a couple years ago. So he's doing at the national level, maybe the state level. He found a niche inside the psychotherapist. I'm talking about even going deeper. Someone who specializes even deeper in certain aspects of psychotherapy. So we're talking about going a level deeper, even more niche, even more smaller audience. And then once you find your group, you can then grow it from there.
It's very niche, yeah. The system was actually called psychotherapistbooking.dk to begin with. We were pretty fast at moving away from that.
Bad name, guys. Oof, are you serious? You went with that one?
It's very niche, yeah. The system was actually called psychotherapistbooking.
Oof, no, guys. You gotta be. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a video on naming things.
.dk to begin with. We were pretty fast at moving away from that and broadening it slightly.
Wonder why.
Yeah.
That's a typical technical person's mistake, because they don't understand from the user's point of view. It's like everything has to be about your user, and whoever you have to figure out who your user is. Is it the person buying your software to book, or is it people booking with your software? They're all your customers, by the way.
Starts with a small group of therapists, specifically psychotherapists. Even limits the geography to a small place before going big.
When we went international, we thought it was a terrible name because therapist is also the rapist. So yeah, we decided to completely change the name to Easy Practice because it's practice management, and it actually broadened the segment.
Don't flag my video, YouTube, please.
Of customers even more.
Start with this, then you expand the audience until you have a large audience. You win a market by market, and before you know it, you have a big business.
Well, I would not market by market. She says segment by segment. So, or like in the market, you get a slice. You get your first 5 or 6 paying customers, not free, paying customers, and you have to then build them out. Then you have to like work with those people, start building out stuff. You either go down even with generalized or even more niche. You know, you got 2 ways you can go with it.
So make sure you define a small market before you get to number 2, which is just.
Yeah, which I would go even deeper niche. I would go deeper niche. So you're so entrenched in there that no one can come along and do anything, and then squeeze out from there. That's the strategy.
This is important. Point number 2, no compromise self-service. If you want to build something that's bootstrapped and truly scalable, it has to be self-service. I mean, no compromise self-service.
Basically about having the best self-service sign-up as possible. It's really important customers can actually sign up with their payment details. And it shouldn't be bank transfers. It needs to be something where they can pay automatically immediately so that you have fully confirmed we actually have a sale. And I think that's really important. I mean, quite a lot of SaaS founders who for a really long time, they don't really get this self-service on their website. And then it just becomes really difficult to actually figure out if you can ever sell this way. That's how we did it. So we focused a lot on people being able to sign up themselves and pay themselves immediately.
This means
So that just means that
standard product, no customization.
yeah, okay. So there's a front door. You got the 3 option for prices for your monthly, yearly, and some extra pro version or enterprise, whatever. And you have it all. There's no salesperson to call. We'll get into it in a second, which I think is an interesting take. So certain products certain services, MicroSaaS can handle this, and other ones can't. It really. These are the things you have to experiment with, but this is a radical take.
No phones, no salespeople, and no sales meetings. Strictly online support.
We didn't want to really talk with customers, and I know this sounds crazy, but we decided to not have a phone in the company, so no one could call us. We also decided we didn't want to take any meetings, because not having a phone meant we were never really interrupted by anyone. So we could just code the system, make it really, really nice. And
right, so this is where we're a technical person knowing the full stack of all the things, and has expertise and can use that expertise and leverage it into these other stacks, iOS and Android and backend and front end, whatever. So this is the opportunity, and you're not really going to hear about it. It's not going to be announced until it's after the fact. Like this guy, he's like, "Oh, I just went through this, and nobody told me, and we just said no a lot."
We always said no to customers reaching out saying, "Could we have a meeting? Do you want to speak with us on the phone?"
No, thank you.
Yeah, we just said no to all of it, and our competitors thought we were crazy, and most people we spoke with, friends and whatnot in business.
Right. So that's that's going against the common. The common is that you have to talk to your customers all the time, blah blah blah. And I think there's a place for that. But if you have someone on your team, like your non-technical co-founder that understands this marketplace and has a mindset, and you get lucky, you can run. I think this is possible to run it.
They also thought we were pretty crazy back then. But fast forward a few months or a year or so, when we actually started getting customers through online marketing, we could scale much faster than our competition.
This is like aggressive self-service.
Yeah, exactly.
This means you have a totally different cost base. You can sell your product at a lower price and still make money. On top of that,
yeah, so my MicroSaaS company I did from like 96 to about 2003, 2004. It wasn't called that. We didn't call it. It was just a software company. I was selling software. That's all we did. I didn't want to hire any salespeople. So I got all these third-party vendors that were doing it for me. I was like, all right. And I guess that's what he talks about, the online marketing. But there may be like marketplaces for these businesses or services, and people are looking for them now. So I still would avoid doing the sales thing, but it depends on the product, right? Or where you're coming into the market space. You might need to have a salesperson, but they're going to bring drama. They're going to bring their own set of stuff. So the more people you have involved, the less streamlined you can be, and the more it's going to cause friction to actually serve the customer. So some of this is luck, a lot of it's intuition. But just having a small dev team, that automatically makes you a leap ahead, right?
you usually make more money for every product sold.
How much do I have to pay for each customer? So you can start out by simply paying €1,000 a month or $1,000 a month or even less. If that doesn't get a customer, then crank it up to 2,000 or 3,000, and eventually you get a customer. And then okay, that's our acquisition cost. Now we just need to lower this. And that's the way we went about it, and it worked really well for us.
The higher
That's interesting. That's an interesting strategy. So instead of starting high and then working down, or starting at a really low number and not getting any customers, he started increasing his prices and he got a customer. And I have experienced this. I know it's super counterintuitive for like middle class, public school, educated people like me to get through my skull. Like, there are people who have a lot of money. There are these businesses. If you can somehow make it a thing that the business can expense and it makes their day easier somehow, same way, they will pay a lot of money for that. And I've done experiments where, like, the first product I did, I sold it for like $19 or something. My first set of special effects, graphics, image processing tools back in like '95, and I got this in my ear. One of my spiritual teachers told me, "Hey, increase your prices, see what happens." And he actually said double your prices. Like, okay, I'll do it. So I went from 20 bucks to 50. Then I went to 99. Then I went to 199. And I kept going up. I actually stopped around $2,500 for one piece of software that was dedicated to one special thing. But yeah, that's a fun journey to go on, because you realize that there's money out there. People will, if you can solve their problem better than somebody else, they will pay for it. They really will.
Margin, or the more money you make per every product sold, becomes very important when we get to point number 3 in a few seconds. As you're not spending all this money on phone calls, traveling salespeople, and support to onboard clients, you can still remain bootstrapped, as you won't have to hire all these people. It also makes your company simpler. Simple is good. It helps you move faster. It helps you innovate. Simple is always better. This sounds easy and simple, but it's not. You have to say no a lot.
Yeah. Say no to like all the prevailing knowledge, all these marketers, all these salespeople want to get you in their funnel, even the MicroSaaS folks. They're not as bad because they kind of get it, and it's people who would be interested in doing something like this is kind of few and far. Everybody wants the easy road to riches. They don't want to put any work or take any risk. But this, it's risky, but this is the new gold, because the AI tools allow you to maximize your software development efforts. And if you go to a niche that's being underserved or not served properly, or it's just people, I mean, a lot of these companies fish out, man. They don't last forever. There's like major opportunities here. And a lot of people are stuck in this mindset, like, I got to get a sales funnel, and I got to get salespeople. I got to make the calls. I got to go travel. No, you don't have to do that. You may take a little longer. You may have to be like more on your game on some other area, but you're going to have to be anyway. So, okay.
And saying no can be pretty hard. When a new partner sends you an email and says, hey, all you have to do is change the product a tiny bit, we'll give you $100,000, and you get 50 new clients. That's when you say no. No, thank you.
Insisted on not having those meetings, but eventually many of them ended up signing up themselves anyway. But they had a hard time believing they could use a product that cost $20 or $30 or $40 a month actually, but they did. So when someone reached out to us telling us, hey guys, we have 20 clinics, we want to use your platform, we really need a meeting because we have 20 clinics, we could just reply back, look, we get 20 clinics automatically every single day. So without doing anything, why should we have a meeting with you guys? You need to have 1,000 clinics if we want to have a meeting. We told them we were thankful that they had reached out, but they would have to basically sign up themselves, because we get more than 20 clinics each day that sign up by themselves. So it's simply too expensive for us to have these meetings. It wouldn't make any sense. That's what.
Right. You have to let them know, like, I have an opportunity cost. And a lot of these companies, like, I've actually talked to so many business people who claim to have gone to business school and they've never heard the phrase opportunity cost. Okay, so if you've never heard the phrase, I'm going to let you know what it is. It's a business thing. It's like, okay, for me to take this meeting, I'm giving up this other thing I know I'm going to make as much as you're saying as possible at this meeting. I'm already going to do that in about a month. But for me taking this meeting, it's going to make it a month and a half or 2 months from now. And if I have to do your thing, it's like that's the opportunity cost, right? The difference between doing your thing and what I would get out of versus what I would get out of my thing I'm already doing. And you can get stuck in these cycles where you're in somebody else's sales funnel, right? You're solving somebody else's problem. You're not solving your own problem. You're getting your stuff going for your customers. You're solving one person's customer. Classic error.
Because we get more than 20 clinics each day that sign up by themselves, so it's simply too expensive for us to have these meetings. It wouldn't make any sense. That's what we said.
Now you know you need self-service, but it all comes together in point number 3. Point number 3, find profitable growth. You now have a cost base for growth, profitable growth. What you're looking for now is slow and steady growth.
Yeah, some of the things I feel like we did well is what we've been calling the turtle approach. So my co-founder and I, we wanted to be just slow and steady. When we sold the company a few years ago, we were onboarding somewhere around 1,000 clinics every month. And I think our closest competitor, I may be getting this wrong, but I think they had a total of 1,000 clinics or something like that when we sold the company.
Don't try and force it.
Yeah, so when you're concentrating and really like paying attention to what your customer needs and like have a way to do that, not necessarily like paying attention to any customer that dangles dollars from your front, but like getting the feedback and then tuning the product to be just what they want. Oh yeah, and then not getting bogged down in the meetings and the sales teams and all the things that go along with that. Leveraging these AI tools and these other methods for as long as possible.
When you scale too fast, it gets expensive and you'll lose profitability. We've always had product-led growth, meaning word of mouth. This can be hard to find and very few startups.
Yeah. So I did almost all my marketing word of mouth because I was always online blabbing about stuff back then, like I'm doing now. And the thing is, also my spiritual teacher told me this. You don't have to think that you're going to get everybody. That you're not for everybody. Not everybody likes you. And the way I know that is, do you like everybody? No, you don't. You don't like everybody. There's no way you can like everybody. So some people aren't for you, and you're not for other people. And that has to be the attitude we're going into this stuff, because you're not trying to make a mega corporation, Facebook, Instagram. Those days are over. That ship has sailed. There's no more opportunity there. This is the new opportunity. You're gonna have your little group. You're gonna serve your little group, which happens to be way bigger than you possibly can imagine. Usually, you're gonna solve your little group, but you're gonna serve them very well, and you're gonna be their number one fan. Now, you're not gonna be led around by the nose. No. But you're gonna serve them and do them way better than their nearest competitor. That's the whole idea, and it's actually more accessible than you think, because these other companies are doing all this other bullshit that's like bogging them down, and you can just run past them.
Have that kind of word of mouth growth. You have to find some other profitable growth too. There's always a channel, but you have to find it. For some, it's paid TikTok. For others, paid LinkedIn or organic LinkedIn. You have to find out what that is. Every video on this.
Right. So there's a lot of us working through all this stuff and going and really thinking things through and kind of going against the grain, and maybe having a different cost basis, right? And also a different how we're doing this basis. The bootstrapping thing allows you to make mistakes, man. It allows you to make mistakes. It also prevents you from making really big mistakes, because you can only make the mistake so bad, because you're bootstrapping it.
Please.
And eventually, you don't have to bootstrap it. People will come along. There's a whole market for these things now. There's all kinds of people in this space that understand the business, understand what you're doing, and understand all this stuff. But you still have to be business oriented. You don't want to get, you want to make sure you're selling your company for what it's worth at the end.
Check it out. The cool thing here is, with the lower cost and self-service, you've set yourself up for profitable growth. It's much easier to find if you have lower cost and higher margin. It enables you to pay more for every client. Always go for linear and predictable growth.
I think exponential growth is very often almost impossible. It's always been a mix between Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok.
Yeah, the exponential growth thing is a bit of a myth, because we hear about these stories, but most of them aren't like that. They're like, it goes along, nothing, and then it dies. Nothing dies. Nothing dies. That's like most businesses. But every once in a while, the one will rocket through the moon, and we'll be like, oh my God, look at that thing rocketing. But most of the businesses are just up and down, up and down, up and down. If they survive past the 10 years, which most businesses fail.
Often almost impossible. It's always been a mix between Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok ads, Twitter ads, and any other paid ad channel you can find online. I think we got around, let's say, 20 or 10 customers a month, or clinics signing up. And when I left the company, we had around 1,000.
Ignore the competition, just do your thing.
That's something I've really learned through the years, that I don't want to take into consideration too much information about how the competitors do.
Right, yeah. I want to get my spiritual teacher told me, he's Stuart Wilde. He told me that people show up for you. I know this is really hard to just say, but now even more with this type of business, they're showing up for you. And it comes through in all the ways where you can interface with your customer to serve them in the best way possible. And yeah, once I realized that that my customers are kind of showing up for me and how I think about the world and how I see things and my slant on stuff, it made me a lot easier. The pressure's off. Oh, okay. And there's so many people in the world that will actually vibe with what you're doing. And if not, then you need to switch it up and figure out what's going wrong.
Do things.
How did it feel when you sold the company $15 million and it actually happened? How did that feel?
And it felt a bit, honestly, mixed feelings, I would say. I feel like I built a really great company. I really like that business, and it's also thriving today without me in it. So I'm really happy about that. But it also felt amazing to be able to sell a company for that much money. It's a life-changing sum, certainly, of money. And I felt like I had completed entrepreneurship. Now I don't have to do entrepreneurship anymore, because I can move on to the next thing, basically.
Building a successful startup is...
There's always something new to do. Well, I'm going to let you go watch the rest of that if you want. But yeah, that's kind of the what I'm doing with all this KMP stuff is going in this direction. This is what I'm gonna be doing next after the Fred's roadside road trip storyteller. After I finish that one, I'm gonna be looking for someone to partner in making one of these MicroSaaS, leveraging these technologies, which are make it so you don't have to have five or 10 people. You can have 2 or 1 tech person that can handle all of it. Yeah.